Amber was kind enough to do a session for me. Woof! There was some crazy goo-goo energy going on there. And I'll be getting blood work back, uh, Heather, for you to review and tell me what I need to do. So here we go, page 108. And for those of you listening to the recording, these are two amazing superhumans who are in the wellness world for decades and decades, who have the ability to help you have better health and better wealth in no time at all. All right, here we go. This brought to you by Wellness Happens Here. Here we go. I'm going, so we're on page 108. I'm going to digress here for a bit, digress and here break the line of thought for a moment while recording a word of advice to the wives of men. Listen, skirt wearers, y'all pay attention. Remember, these lines are intended only for wives, and husbands are not expected to read that which is here set down. From having analyzed more than 16,000 people, the majority of whom were married men, I've learned something that may be of value to wives. Let me state my thoughts in these words. You have it within your power to send your husband away to his work or to his business or his profession each day with a feeling of self-confidence that will carry him successfully over the rough spots of the day and bring him home again at night smiling and happy. One of my acquaintances of former years married a woman who had a set of false teeth. On the day his wife dropped her teeth and broke her plate, the husband picked up the pieces and began examining them. He showed such interest in them that his wife said, "You could make a set of those teeth if you made your mind up to do it." The man was a farmer whose ambitions had never carried him beyond the bounds of the little farm until his wife had made that remark. She walked over and laid her hand on his shoulder and encouraged him to try his hand at dentistry. She finally coaxed him to make the start, and today he is one of the most prominent and successful dentists in Virginia. I know him well, for he is my father. No one can foretell the possibilities of achievement available to the man whose wife stands at his back and urges him on to bigger and better endeavor. For it is well known fact that a woman can arouse in a man that he will perform almost superhuman feats. It is your right and your duty to encourage your husband and urge him on in worthy undertakings until he shall have found his place in the world. You can induce him to put forth greater effort than can any other person in the world. Make him believe that nothing within reason is beyond his power of achievement, and you will have rendered him a service that will go a long way toward helping him win the battle of life. So I would say that that's available now, going both ways. That's available from people in your inner circle. Does that make sense? That's why it's important to have those people who can encourage you, who can pick you up, who can give you the pat and the kick. One of the most successful men in his line of America gives entire credit for his success to his wife. When they were first married, he wrote a creed, which he signed and placed over his desk. This is a copy of the creed. I believe in myself. I believe in those who work with me. I believe in my employer. I believe in my friends. I believe in my family. I believe that God will lend me everything I need, which to succeed if I do my best to earn it through faithful and honest service. I believe in prayer, and I will never close my eyes and sleep without praying for divine guidance to the end that I will be patient with others and tolerant with those who do not believe as I do. I believe that success is a result of intelligent effort and does not depend upon luck or sharp practices or double-crossing friends, fellow men, or my employer. I believe I will get out of life exactly what I put into it. Therefore, I will be careful to conduct myself towards others, and I would not want them to act as others as I would want them to act toward me. I will not slander those whom I do not like. I will not slight my work, no matter what I might see others doing. I will render the best service of which I am capable, because I have pledged myself to succeed in life. I know that success is always the result of conscientious and efficient effort. Finally, I will forgive those who offend me, because I realize that I shall sometimes offend others and I will need their forgiveness. Dang, Skippy. The woman who wrote this creed was a practical psychologist of the first order. With the influence and guidance of such women as a helpmate, any man could achieve noteworthy success. Analyze this creed and you will notice how freely the personal pronoun is used. It starts off with the affirmation of self-confidence, which is perfectly proper. No man could make this creed his own without developing a positive attitude that would attract him to people who would aid him in the struggle for success. This would be splendid. This would be a splendid creed for every salesman to adopt. It might not hurt your chances of success if you adopted it. Mere adoption, however, is not enough. You must practice it. Read it over until you know it by heart, then repeat it at least once a day until you have literally transformed it into your mental makeup. Keep a copy of it as a daily reminder of your pledge to practice it. By doing so, you will be making efficient use of the principle of autosuggestion as means of developing self-confidence. Never mind what anyone may say about your procedure. Just remember that it is your business to succeed, and this creed, if mastered and applied, will go a long way toward helping you. You learned in lesson 2 that any idea you fix firmly in your subconscious mind by repeated affirmation, automatically becomes a plan or blueprint which an unseen power uses in directing your efforts toward the attainment of the objective named in the plan. You have also learned the principle through which you may fix any idea you choose in your mind, called autosuggestion. It's not about doing certain things, it's about doing things in a certain way, which simply means a suggestion that you give to your own mind. It was this principle of autosuggestion that Emerson had in mind when he wrote, "Nothing can bring you peace but yourself." You might well remember that nothing can bring you success but yourself. Of course, you will need the cooperation of others if you aim to attain success of a far-reaching nature. But you will never get the cooperation unless you vitalize your mind with the positive attitude of self-confidence. Perhaps you will have wondered why a few men advance to highly paid positions while others all around them who have as much training and who seemingly perform as much work do not get ahead. Select any two people of these two types that you choose and study them. And the reason why one advances and the other stands still will be quite obvious to you. You will find that the one who advances believes in himself. You will find that he backs this belief with such dynamic, aggressive action that he lets others know that he believes in himself. You will also notice that his self-confidence is contagious. It is impelling. It is persuasive. It attracts others. You will find also that you will also find that the one who does not advance shows clearly by the look on his face, by the posture of his body, and the lack of briskness in his step, by the uncertainty with which he speaks, and he lacks self-confidence. No one is going to pay much attention to the person who has no confidence in himself. He does not attract others because his mind is a negative force that repels rather than attracts. In no other field of endeavor does self-confidence or the lack of it play such an important part as in the field of salesmanship, as you do not need to be a character analyst to determine the moment you meet with him whether a salesman possesses this quality of self-confidence. If he has it, the signs of its influence are written all over him. He inspires you with confidence in him and in the goods he is selling. He inspires you with confidence in him and in the goods he is selling the moment he speaks. We come now to the point at which you are ready to take hold of the principle of autosuggestion and make the direct use of it in developing yourself into positive, dynamic, and self-reliant person. You are instructed to copy this following formula, sign it, and commit it to memory. The self-confidence formula. 1. First, I know I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose. Therefore, I demand myself persistent, aggressive, and continuous action toward its attainment. Second, I realize that the dominating thoughts of my mind eventually reproduce themselves in outward bodily action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. Therefore, I will concentrate my mind for 30 minutes daily upon the task of thinking of the person I intend to be, by creating a mental picture of this person and then transforming that picture into reality through practical service. Third, I know that through the principle of autosuggestion, any desire I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek expression through some practical means of realizing it. Therefore, I shall devote 10 minutes daily to demanding of myself the development of these factors named in the 16 lessons of the reading course of the Law of Success. Fourth, I have clearly mapped out and written down a description of my definite purpose in life. For the coming 5 years, I have set a price on my services for each of these 5 years, a price that I intend to earn and receive through the strict application of the principle of efficient, satisfactory service, which I will render in advance. And fifth, I fully realize that no wealth or position can long endure unless built upon truth and justice. Therefore, I will engage in no transaction which does not benefit all whom it affects. I will succeed by attracting to me the forces I wish to use and the cooperation of other people. I will induce others to serve me because I will first serve them. I will eliminate hatred, envy, jealousy, selfishness, and cynicism by developing love for all humanity, because I know that a negative attitude towards others can never bring me success. I will cause others to believe in me because I will believe in them and in myself. I will sign my name to this formula, commit it to memory, and repeat it out loud once a day with full faith that it will gradually influence my entire life so that I will become a successful and happy worker in my chosen field of endeavor. Before you sign your name to this formula, make sure that you intend to carry out its instructions. Back of this formula lies a law that no man can explain. The psychologists refer to this law of autosuggestion, and let it go at that. But you should bear in mind one point about which there is no uncertainty, and that is the fact that whatever this law is, it actually works. Another point to keep in mind is the fact that just as electricity will turn the wheels of industry and serve mankind in a million ways or snuff out the life if wrongly applied, so will this principle of autosuggestion lead you to the mountainside of peace and prosperity or down in the valley of misery and poverty, according to the application you make of it. If you fill your mind with doubt and unbelief in your ability to achieve, then the principle of autosuggestion takes this spirit of unbelief and sets it upon your subconscious mind as your dominating thought, and slowly but surely draws you into the whirlpool of failure. But if you fill your mind with radiant self-confidence, the principle of autosuggestion takes this belief and sets it up as your dominating thought and helps you master the obstacles that fall in your way until you reach the mountaintop of success. Dang, Skippy. What you'll take away from that? Yikes. Man, I got to read that again. That's powerful, isn't it? And we're on page 100 of page 500. We're 1/5 of the way through. 20%. Thoughts, comments, takeaways.
So what is the law that it talks about? What is the law that it talks about?
So in this
Does
one,
it matter what law it is?
well, this one, the law they're talking about is autosuggestion. In this, so the book is called The Law of Success. It's the 16 principles, and each one has their own. So there's the law of autosuggestion. So that's a law of success. So it doesn't say the laws of success. because each one of them, you may not need all of 16, but you need to be aware of 16 because you're going to use them at different points. But not one by themselves will do it, but not all of them are needed to do the one thing. So you have to acquire the law that works for you.
Gotcha.
That's my non-author interpretation. And we may wind up with learning some other things about it.
I like this self-confidence formula.
Yeah.
This was for me. I don't know if it was for anybody else tonight, but it was definitely for me.
I remember because I have listened to this on Audible, and I remember hearing it. It's different when you see it, right? It's the visual. Kind of cool. And I think it's worth handwriting it out and committing it to memory and committing it. And so creating the neural, one of the things I'm finding as I keep delving more and more and more and more and more into words and brain and all of these things, we have unlimited potential. We really do. All of us have unlimited potential. What makes us unique is our story. Our life is as unique as our fingerprint. But the brain we have is capable of what anybody's brain is capable of. We can rewire it, neuroplasticity. We can unwire it. We can delete trauma. We can do all of these things. We can use nutritionals. If you ate blueberries, it can have a positive effect. Now, there's things like coffee that we all know some people eat coffee and they go to sleep, eat coffee, drink coffee, and they go to sleep. Right? I've seen one where cilantro. Here's a DNA test. That's a TED talk, and he says, "Here's cilantro. I'm gonna do a DNA test on you. Who eats cilantro and thinks it tastes like soap?" Now, here's the thing: they have their gene is correct. The rest of us who don't mind cilantro have a mutated gene, and there seems to be more of us that like cilantro than don't like cilantro. So our DNA has been muted, has been morphed, has been something little nudged. Where the B is supposed to be or the D is supposed to be, we have a C in the ADC4 blah 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 in the gene, and we like cilantro. But there's people who don't like it, and he said it tastes like soap. And they raised their hand, and I hope about a dozen or so people in the audience raised their hand. It tastes like soap. Really? How does it taste like soap? It's cilantro. So that's why there's the 13 principles of Think and Grow Rich. Those are the law of success. This was before this book was written before Think and Grow Rich. Right? So it was this narrowing down. And then there's the other one. I don't know where that's at. Positive mental attitude. Have you all seen that workbook? I showed you that one. What's up, right? So, right, if you got the blue book, here's the blue book. And that's called the 17 Lessons, Educational Class Use Only, of the Positive Mental Attitude. The Science of Success by Napoleon Hill. And then there's Mental Dynamite by Napoleon Hill. This is Andrew Carnegie's. All right. So I guess these people didn't have lights or theaters or something for them to write all these books or whatever. And then I found 7 journals today in our boxes from 2018. So questions, comments, thoughts on tonight's dialogue? Auto suggestion.
Something that I really liked in the fifth part of the formula was that where it says, I will engage in no transaction which does not benefit all whom it affects. That takes some self-restraint and some thought
Well,
in
yeah,
what
it
you're
takes,
doing.
and
Yeah.
I like the pledge because when he talks about auto-suggestion is to give those suggestions to your own mind. And if you practice that pledge, I can see how that can change your daily posture and your confidence. So
and
it could be something that I would have to do.
it kind of sets up an accountability, right? It sets up an intention. And if our intentions are to be achieved, then our intentions are a form of activation of the particular activating system, and this gives it a pretty good, right? Uh, what do you want? I want a house. And Norris goes, okay, I can't really do much there. I want a two-story house. Okay, I really can't do much there either. I want a two-story house with wood floors. Okay, now we're getting there. Are there any doors in the place? Yeah, front door and back door. That's it. Okay. Any windows in the joint? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Window. And could you? I mean, we had myhomebuilder.com is the guy who's doing the plans for the house, and he did a set of plans for it 2 years ago based on us walking out there and going, well, we would like this and we would like that, and he turned it into a blueprint. And as soon as we saw it, we're like, well, no, we're not going to have that. But until we saw the blueprint, we didn't know what we didn't want. And so when you set up these pledges and these commitments and these agreements, what the auto suggestion says is that you will do everything so that it serves everybody. Right? That just becomes a part of your nature.
And in that way, it would be for you to have the ability to attain your DMP.
And also, I've had some people say to me, good Lord, Sean, if I do this, I'm just going to be talking to myself all day long. I said, well, you're doing it now. You're doing it now. You just don't know it. You're just sucking the life out of you with the talk you got, the talky talk you got going on now. Here's the thing. When this does become unconscious conversation through auto-suggestion, right? Bob Proctor said do the thing until you don't have to do the thing. Do the auto-suggestion until you don't have to do the auto-suggestion. It becomes the natural auto-suggestion, becomes the natural suggestion. Kind of cool. Anyone else? Thoughts, comments, questions, takeaways? Hey, babies.
And I can see if you did this and it was part of you, like you said, and people will be attracted to you because of having that presence and posture. Um,
Kind of cool. I found my Bill Gove speech workshop from 2003. So yeah, it's an amazing process, and again, this is the first three principles, right? So I would encourage you to copy down the pledge and copy down and set that contract up and do that. I love it.
So when you were talking about writing this,
Yep.
once and done or repeated?
Sure.
Got it.
That's a you thing, right? Because as we go through this, there's going to be a lot less guidance and a little bit more nudges. What would you think? So if I asked you, so you gave me this spray, should I just do it once and that's it, or should I do it like daily?
You should do it till the bottle's empty.
Okay. So it's got about half in it. So I should keep going.
Yes.
But it didn't work. So should I still use it?
Yes.
Feel how that feels?
Yes.
Yeah. That's the same thing here. Do it as often as you can, as well prescribed as you can. And the key is, so here's the question. So here's the mentoring question. Who asked, which version of you asked, should I do it once and done or daily? Which one asked that? Which version of Heather asked that?
The impatient Heather.
Mm. So what is the impatient? So the impatient Heather is necessary. She's needed. She's wanted. She's loved. What was she hoping to accomplish with that question?
The ability to master something quickly and move on.
And ask the impatient Heather what are the things that she's been able to master instantly and move on in her life.
Hasn't found it yet.
Okay, so what allowed her on stage?
Wanting to find a shortcut.
And so shortcuts are good for things that are at a distance. How far away is your master?
I'm curious to find that out.
Okay, so it's not a bad question that she asked, and it's not a bad response to find the shortcut. What do you think the best shortcut would be? Once, and you've arrived at a destination, or daily, or weekly, whatever the number is, do you think you'll arrive at your ultimate, your true destination sooner? Is it not a shortcut to do it weekly? Isn't doing it once the fallacy?
Yes.
So she's,
Yes, it is.
I love her for asking the question. We just didn't have our rules in order. You might have the gift of photographic memory and remember it. it's still not applied. So you can write it once, just read it every day. So she's not off. We're not taking her to the wood yard and lighting her on fire. It was all great questions. We have to look at the Paul Harvey rest of the story. Can you write it so well that you would never have to write it again? Because well, I don't even know what I wrote. Could you put such intention into each word as you wrote it? So that when you read it, you could feel it? I don't know.
It's worth giving it a shot.
I think that'd be a curious thing to find out. And then when you fall in love with the writing of it and the way it makes you feel, oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe what happened as I wrote this. I had ideas flashing in between the words, in the space between the words. One of the greatest books and audios that I ever had was Wayne Dyer's Getting Into the Gap. Little short, tiny book, little 5x6 book, had an audio with it. You can probably download it on the internet now. And he has two audios, one guided and one less guided. And that Getting Into the Gap was the Our Father. He said, now imagine the Our Father and go to the R and the Our Father and the F. And in that gap, in the space between the Our and Father, dive into that. And I would imagine they were LED lights, and I would dive into I'd see the R on the side here as it was, what was the one where they were riding on the bikes and leaving the line? Arbitron or something with an O.
Tron?
Tron, yes. So I imagine the R was like that, and the F was just this tall one here, and I would go into the middle of that. And I had unbelievable revelations getting into the gap. Now, Our Father, who, the space, get into the gap between Father and who. And he did this throughout the whole first, I guess the first sentence. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yep. And he'd get you into the gap between each one of those words. And it was phenomenal. Phenomenal. No.
Wow.
Curious minds want to know what?
Shoot. Well, I'm thinking about getting into the gap of everything. Now that's not a concept that I had heard before.
So when you offer people, what's the gap you get into in between exercises? What's the gap
Exactly.
in between when you say take this nutritional and what? So here's the question, right? So I have two of these, the two different things. What's the gap between them? Right? What's the gap between them? Because it's in here, it's in the nothing, the no thing, that these work. They don't work in the something, they work in the no thing.
Wow.
It's not the bars that hold the tiger, right? It's the space between the bars.
Right.
It's not these that do it, it's the space between them that does it.
Wow.
That might keep you from scrolling. And that's called awareness.
Oh my gosh. And so I'm thinking about, in Great Britain at what do they call it? Is it the Tube? Do they call it the Tube in Great Britain? And there's the signs, mind the gap.
Yep.
That just brought a whole new, that takes that to a whole different level for me.
It's not the words on the pages in the book, it's the space between the words that make them work.
Wow. We could probably spend a decade going in between the gaps of this self-confidence formula, huh?
Might be.
Okay, my mind is blown. Thank you.
You're welcome. Pursue better. Very
I
cool.
love it.
Love it, love it, love it.
So before you ask,
Yes.
I learned that there's a whole world in the gap that I was not aware of, that I could not explore because I wasn't aware of it, but now I can. And I liked that you took me through that process. Thank you very much.
You are welcome. Because whenever you get up from your desk to go to wherever you're going through the gap.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun. Kind of cool, isn't it? Awesome, awesome. All right, my eagles. Any last thoughts, comments, questions, takeaways? Okie dokie. Well, I will see you in the morning. I'll see y'all where?
At the next event.
At
Yeah.
the next event.
At the end of the next gap. Love you. Love y'all. All right. Bye for now. See you in the morning.
Thank you.